In the last 2 weeks, we started a series talking about the journey of the Jews out of Jerusalem who came from all over the Mediterranean Sea coming to make their dream trip. It's not a touristy trip, it's a dream trip that's close to their heart, to visit the house of the Lord once. And we reflected on one of these Psalms. We said Psalm from 120 to Psalm 134, these 14 Psalms, we call the Psalm of Ascents, which means the sign of climbing. So they were imagining that every step they took toward Jerusalem is like somebody's climbing a ladder or a steps. So that's why every psalm is reflecting the stage of how they felt during the journey. So all these psalms really reflect the spirit of what happened to people when they are on the road. And even some of them reflect what happened to you when you dream about being on the road. And today we're going to talk about Psalm 123, where these people are talking about something different. They're talking about two different messages. We can see the difference between Psalm 122 and Psalm 123. In 122, the one we talked about last week, we hear the joy of somebody's being happy that they are in the house of the Lord, and the sound of the joy is all over the psalm. And in the Psalm 123, we see a big shift. We do not see that much talk about the joy, but we see the psalmist actually crying for help. The contrast we see between this psalm and the psalm before is telling us that always different things happen on a journey. How many times we can be in trouble when we romanticize being on the road, that everything is going to be perfect and glory and green and no danger. And once we hit the road and was the first thing we face, we just start to question, did we have a false hope? Did we have a false assumption? What happened to the big flames that always everything starts with? Your first love, your first job, your first move, everything about the first, there is always a big flame about everything that we experience as a first. Is there anything wrong about that? To be so excited about something new? Your new baby, your new relationship, your first job, and all of these things. There is nothing wrong about that. But the problem that we are holding only one side of the reality. That the relationship is not only going to be all about rosy and everything is great, but there is a price you have to pay, there is effort, there is things need to be. Not everybody is going to be healthy, but sometimes you're going to be sick. How are you going to deal when your body is weaker? Not everybody is going to get what they want. So there is nothing wrong about enjoy the flame of the first moment, or the first thing, or the first love, or the first baby, or the first job. But the problem is to have a single mind to think this is life. Nope, I'm sorry to tell you, this is not life. This is just part of the reality. The other part of the reality, that love that we talk about, is the love that stays and not quit. The love that's continue on the road when it knows, yes, the road could sometimes be glory and green and perfect weather and sunshine, and the other day it could be a storm. The day you can enjoy the forest, but the forest also one day can be on fire and can be a scary place. So we are invited not to think about this, to be afraid to love and to take the risk and to try, but we are invited to know that there is always another side to every reality. So as we see in the psalm that we talked about last week, this guy is full of love and he's happy. He's among his brothers and sisters in a church and everything is great and everybody looks really in a great harmony. What happened? Why he is afraid in the psalm? Why he is crying for help? What happened? What changed? He started to talk about walking on the road as being other people start to mock them and other people start to say, what are you doing? You spend your money, to go for one trip? You're just going to visit a place you could holy somewhere far away? So people start to make fun of their journey. People start to make fun of their commitment. So sometimes people can make fun of the value that you have when you care for others, when you try to give time and money and efforts. Maybe people will say that's not practical. You should keep the money for yourself. You should keep the time for yourself. You should keep any good energy for yourself. That's one way of reviewing life. So when two people review life in a different way, what happens? Everybody's trying to say, you are wrong and I'm right. But if you are truly Christian, you try to understand that I am like a fish. If I stop being giving and being loving and kind, I cannot survive. You cannot have a fish out of the water. Even if people sometimes mock you or look down at what you are doing. But nobody understands the kind of joy you get when you're not just acting as a good citizen or try to get the Nobel Prize for whatever you are doing. It's giving you extreme joy. Nobody else will understand except you. Nobody will understand the kind of peace and joy that makes your heart full when you go home and put your head on the bed and on the pillow and feel in peace. Nobody will understand that. They see your action and judge it based on whatever ideology they have. But unless they experience that, then they'll understand, I know why you do that. As I love one of our kids today who asked Jan a question about what should I do with my friend who's not Christian. You always love them because simply they don't know what you are feeling. You don't know what you are getting. And the way to avoid judging them, you feel bad for them because really I am enjoying I hope that the whole world can taste what I'm tasting. I hope the whole world can understand what I'm feeling. So that's the way to love and care for them and show them God's love through the way we live. And at the same time to save yourself from feeling, I am Christian, so I'm better than them. How can I save myself from judging them? But feeling bad that they really will never understand the joy and the peace and the fulfillment I have unless they go through it. So that's the way you have your heart is open for them and loving them, and at the same time you do not abandon the commands to love each other. Not simply because I want to be a good American citizen, not because I want to be on TV and people see how good I am. It's simply because it is a self-rewarding thing. It is the best thing you can do to yourself. So as we see these pilgrims, the people who are on the road, it's not enough they are struggling. It's not enough there are many risks on the road, but other people are mocking them and say, why do you guys spend this time? Why do you go to church on Sunday? Go have fun somewhere else. Spend the extra couple hours in bed. Why do you want to do that? I'm sure you heard that somewhere, right? Why do you care about going to church? It's old-fashioned now to go to church. Let's try something different. Let's give our body more rest. Because actually, I could be physically in bed and not in rest. And I could be here and doing labor and I'm working and my mind is busy. I'm worried about how the service goes, how people are going to listen to it. But that's part of the joy and the fulfillment that nobody will understand. This is the kind of journey that we need to be on the road. No, we are not closing our eyes and say everything is perfect and great. No, we know there are many things far away from being perfect. And we know there are a lot of things and people will view and talk to us sometimes in a mocking way because of our faith. Because the way we love things, the way we love people, the way we care, the way we like to spend our life, that I want to be in a church, even if you think that's a boring activity, but that's what's filled my heart. And as I do not judge you and I let you do whatever you do, I hope that one day you'll understand that. This is why we need not to worry about the church, because we know that God is the creator of this church. God is the one that He's the foundation. We just need to know that to ask ourselves, do we enjoy, do we get something that's filled in our heart that we cannot get anywhere else? If you go to a bar or if you go anywhere, whatever you do, there is nothing. I have no judgment about whatever you do, but my question, that the church still give you something that nobody else can give you. Even just being with brothers and sisters. Listen to your favorite hymns, or listen to your favorite scripture, or just maybe one sentence from a long, boring sermon just hit you and makes you feel like, oh, I think I like this, but I'm going to ignore the rest of the sermon, but maybe this line really hit me and makes me think about something. As far as the church with this meaning, I'm not worried about the future of the church. The future of the church is not in my hand. It's not in the session hand. It's in God's hand. And our job is to say, God, which direction you want us to go? How do you want us to handle the business? Either if we are a church of 1,000 members or if a church of hundreds of members. If the church lost to be the salt and the light, then we should be scared. If the church lost to be the salt, I do not care if it's a big sanctuary or a small sanctuary. If it's a fancy service or a very humble service. The scare is like, are we still effective? Are we still like this light that's when spread, it's directly and with no effort when the light invade the darkness and just spread and naturally happen? We do not think about that because we know light travels very fast, right? But if we do it in a slow motion, you will see how powerful that is when the light starts invading and kicking the darkness out in a simple, natural way. The same way the salt works. The more the salt, if you want to boil the salt, there's a lot of salt on the sea. As far as you boil it up, it's useless. But the more it's dissolved, and even some, you cannot see it, that's where it's more effective. When it's melted in the middle of any liquids, or that's the way they used to save things in the old days. Any way to save meat was really to bury the salt inside it. They didn't have trash in the old days, no electricity. That was the old way human learned to save any food from being rotten, is to just put salt in the middle, and that's how you save it. And as far as the church walk on the journey, we are not ignorant about the risk of being on the road. We are not ignorant about those who may mock us or those who judge us. But I should be aware of where I stand and where I came from. The psalmist is saying us, yes, the last week I was talking about the joy, and now I am really worried because of those people. Those people who are making fun of me, who are making fun of my journey, of my commitment, my love that's made me maybe sell everything just for one trip, to go and be in the house of the Lord once. Keep loving, keep caring, even if people mock you, even if review you in a way that's not respectful. But at the end, what you are doing to make your heart full. So this traveler did not quit, but he brought his trouble to God. He said, as the same way the master, when the slave looked at their masters and they are shaking, worry about if the master will answer or not. But you are not a master like us, God. And as this is an image that came from the old days when slavery, unfortunately, was normal way. So the writer, they were writing in this context. They're not writing in the context we are here today. But this was the normal ways, imagining a slave that's standing there, afraid to ask their master, and they're afraid if they ask the wrong question and how they get the answer. But here the writer of the psalm is saying, but God, you are not like these bad masters. You are the one who knows us. These people, when we ask them, were afraid. Are they going to listen to us? Are they going to understand us? Are they going to give us anything from what we hope? But they say, you are a master in love. You are a master in giving. You are a master of comforting those and say, come to me so I can comfort you and give you what you need. So the comparison here is not only to stuck on the small idea of the master and slave, but say, God, where I look around, where shall I go? When things get darker and harder, when the option is running away, I start my journey with many options, and now my option is less. I remember when I taught course in one of the private university here about spirituality and technology. And I was surprised to ask the students, and I taught them about if you tell me how many people you have on Facebook. And they told me, like, some of them say 1,000 of people on their Facebook. Say, how many of them actually you met face to face? I was like less than like 5 of them, you know. And say, how many of the 5 people you think if you are really in trouble, they will pick the phone and be with you? I said, maybe 3 out of the 5 or 2. Say, how many of them will actually come physically be with you when you need them? And most of them will say none, or they doubt, or maybe 1. So as we live in the world, a lot of things fake around us, relationships, and we look so connected. But then the question, are we really connected? This is the generation that we are dealing with. This is the culture we live in. And say, when you run out of all these options, when really all this good technology that can be used in a very good way, I'm not anti-technology, I use them and I love them, but to some limit. But my point is, where is really the true connection? We're running with many things fake. Where is really the true connection? And if you doubt all the connections around you, all the platform that mix you sometimes and deceive you to make you secure, what happens when you face the reality and you find all these platforms are really, they cannot hold your feet. They can collapse under you. They can run away. They cannot be available. So that is the message that the psalmist is saying, where everything is shaken and run away from you, I come to you because you are the true master. You are the true foundation. You are the one I can call on you when nobody else can be available. You are the one that I can trust with. Everything around us change so quick. Where's the thing that I can hold on? So he's going back with his fear. Say, yes, I am afraid. I am scared. I am worried about tomorrow. I'm worried about my health. I'm worried about my journey. But I'm taking all of these to you. You are the master of the universe. You are the one in charge of all of these. So I invite you to hold in your hand not only the troubles, but to remember the hope. Not only to hold the difficulties, but to remember the strength that God will give you to go through it. Not to hold only the negativity, but remember that God was there for you in the past and made you make it through many things. Based on logic, if He did that, that means He's capable to do it today. Based on logic, that means He's capable to do it tomorrow. That's how we can talk to ourselves. We use reason, we use the Spirit, we use thinking way to understand that God is real and true, and I can prove it to myself that He is on my side in this journey. And I pray that as we walk this journey together as a church, we are aware of the struggles. We're not going to close our eyes. We're not going to ignore them. But we are full of excitement that we know that God can make out of any troubles, any difficult things, can make a new way, a new road, and can teach us to be better as a good believer and good Christian. Amen?